Coming up, fighting bias with AI. We're going to be talking about this with Toronto-based AI software company Knockri about how they've made fairer hiring practices their mission through software. Next, this is Bloomberg. Bias in tech is a long-standing issue, and leading diversity, equity, and inclusion experts are now calling on the industry to work together rather than in isolation to be more inclusive in hopes of making tangible change.
What it will take is not just simply putting simple bandages and putting in programs, so to speak. It's about fundamentally redesigning the culture that exists within tech.
The old way of doing things is no longer the way of the future. The data shows that individuals from historically excluded communities are having a different experience. But it all first starts with the data, and that will help us think about strategies and solutions.
We have to address some of the root problems. At the moment, all we do is play like diversity musical chairs. And at the end of the day, we have to expand the actual pool of that talent itself by addressing educational inequities and other systemic barriers.
But how can we ensure no discrimination when the very hiring technology used by tech companies and others is biased in itself? Well, that's where Knockri comes in. It is a Toronto-based developer of AI video-based soft skill assessment solutions, which has a mission to connect opportunities with the right candidates, no matter their background. Knockri co-founder and CEO Jahanzeb Ansari joins us now for this week's Work Shifting segment. And thank you so much for joining us. Tell us a little bit about your personal story and what made you realize this was a problem that could be solved.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for having me, Emily. I really appreciate this. And we started off a couple of years ago, and one of the catalysts was that I was applying to jobs, and you all can see I have a long ethnic name, and I wouldn't hear back from any employers. So my co-founder Maz is like, "Why don't you just anglicize it?" And we went from a variation of Jordan, Jacob, Jason, and literally in 4 to 6 weeks, I got a job. Wow. And so with that experience, we just felt like there's so many people that are being overlooked and that there has to be a better solution.
So talk to us about the solution. How do you help transform AI that is already so deeply entrenched in algorithms across the technology industry around the world?
Absolutely. So, I mean, there are several things that we're currently doing, but the number one thing I think I'd like to share here is that we're trying to create like more awareness that like bias in hiring exists. And our goal is to like deliver a measurable solution that helps companies like take action to not only eliminate bias at the top of the funnel, but to avoid tokenism as well. And so one of like the biggest secrets, Emily, that is in our industry is that the majority of AI assessments that we see are being trained on like models of highly subjective and like biased data, such as historical performance and interview ratings. Like, Amazon, great organization, it's a great company, but they had to scrap their experiential AI like resume screening tool after they uncovered it was poorly scoring qualified female candidates based on biased historical data, unfortunately. So the approach that we're taking is essentially extremely open boxed, and it's based on the world of IO psychology. Our technology is objectively like reading each interview transcript and identifying the skills and competencies that are scientifically correlated to success on the job role. And this is what employers want. And until more vendors rebuild their solutions with bias on top of mind, these problems are not going to solve themselves.
What does the name Knockri symbolize? How'd you come up with that?
So the word Knockri actually means the word job to about 1 billion people. It's the word job in Hindi, Urdu, and in Punjabi as well.
That's fascinating. All right, we'll keep our eye on you. Knockri co-founder and CEO Jahanzeb Ansari, thank you for sharing your technology and your story with us.